Hey, good people. Welcome to this week's 10-minute teaching. My name is Dr. Keisha. I am your mindset coach. And while I'm smiling and I'm happy that it's Friday, God knows I'm happy that it's Friday, we are talking about grief recovery. Hey, Hazel, good to see you. So, yesterday in the morning mindset, I sort of set the stage, right? By inviting you to think about all of the ways in which grief can show up. And I put before you that grief is so much bigger than the loss of a person or the loss of a relationship. I put a lot of examples of what that can mean, and you're welcome to go back and see that. But today, I'm going to go a little deeper into that. And what I want to put before you is this saying. It's commonly said that the only things that are certain in life are death and taxes. And if you're familiar with that statement, you can go ahead and say something to me in the chat. If you've heard this saying, the only thing that is certain in life is death and taxes. But I would also add loss. We are guaranteed to experience forms of loss throughout life. But one of the things many of us are not given is the ability. Thank you, Hazel. I'm glad you agreed with that and that you're familiar with that saying. One of the things that a lot of us do not receive is a strong understanding of how do we recover from grief? How do we move through the intense emotional loss that is the grief experience? Most importantly, how do we even begin to recognize grief correctly, right? And here's 3 strong examples of areas where we should grieve that we often do not. Here they are. We should grieve the loss of trust, the loss of safety, the loss of control over our bodies through physical or sexual abuse, the loss of friendships. These are areas where grief is a very natural response. Remember, hey, good to see you all as you're coming in. Remember, I shared with you the definition of grief. Our common definition is intense emotional pain connected to a loss. So if we're talking about the loss of trust, how often have we stopped and grieved the loss of trust we might have had in a job, in a person, in a church? I'm walking heavy already, I know. But if we can recognize that this loss has occurred, then we can begin to see it clearly. More often than not, our knee-jerk reaction isn't grief. Our knee-jerk reaction is often, and I have my notes and I want to bring this in. Our knee-jerk reactions are often denial. This can't be what I'm seeing. This can't be right. I know that this isn't ending like this. Or anger. Anger is a much easier emotion for a lot of people, so they may feel far more comfortable being in anger than allowing themselves to feel grief and navigate those feelings. Another common knee-jerk reaction can be guilt. So for my people who are watching me, and it is usually your go-to response that you have to be the one to get something done. You're used to carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. When something doesn't go right, your harsh inner critic or that critical voice will completely skip grief and go straight to all of the things you could have done to prevent this. Somehow reimagine a narrative that if you would have done this, XYZ would have happened. If you would have done blah, 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 then this wouldn't have happened. When in reality, the emotion I want to gently lay before you is that it may be time to actually grieve the loss of what you experience. And if we're talking about trust, I feel like I'm probably going to stay there in this 10-minute teaching, because when we think about the loss of trust, that can go into so many areas. And for those of you who are here, I would love it if you put it in the chat. What are some of the things or some of the people you've lost trust in? What are some of the experiences you went through where you lost trust? If I, while I'm waiting on your responses, if I had to answer my own question, Dr. Keisha, what are some of the areas where you've lost trust? Here's my vulnerable truth. I lost trust in my parental relationships. I did not have a, healthy mother-daughter, father-daughter relationship. And I spent a lot of years trying to figure out what that was, right? And so when I finally understood that I was not in a space or in a relationship where I could trust my parents to be parents to me, I had to go through an extensive process of grieving that. I see brother and sister relationships, right? So there is this understanding of there's this image of what I'm told it should look like. And so I may lean into this relationship thinking that trust is there. And then when I find out that it's not, of course I have all these other feelings, anger, etc., etc. But in order to move through it, in order to recover from it, we have to give ourselves space to grieve the loss of what we did not experience, which was trust. And oftentimes, I'm going to slow down so you hear me with this. And oftentimes, essentially, Emily, I see your response and I'm going to answer that. I'm going to speak to that. And oftentimes, you only recognize the loss of trust because you poured out your own trust. You gave of your oil. You gave of your trust equity. You gave the precious jewels of your trust to people, to individuals that did not return it. And so there is room to understand where grief comes in, giving yourself permission to grieve. And when I say grieve, that is intense emotional pain connected to a loss, to recognize that hurt you. And this is where that whole language around being strong gets in the way. And that language around not letting people know they hurt you gets in the way. Because when we put that mindset on that I'm not going to let them see me cry, or I'm not going to let them know they hurt me, it's not as though we know how to turn it off when we get outside of their presence. We hold on to that. And it becomes this mask that when it's time to grieve, we have a hard time letting it go. Just sit with that. Now let's see. Essentially, Emily, in myself, I tend to give to others the benefit of the doubt and get absolutely wrecked, choosing to trust them instead of my gut. Now, I love that you brought that up, because one of the areas when we talk about loss of trust, this can become an invisible wound, right? If I have lost trust in myself because I consistently want to believe that people are better than they are. And let me not be so broad. I consistently want to believe that the people I have invested my time in, the people I have given my resources to, the people I have shared my truths with, I don't want to believe that was all for nothing. I don't want to believe that I got to start all over again and find new friends, new relationships. And so I'm going to push past my intuition, right? That's what I hear you saying, Emily. I'm going to push past my instinct that something isn't right because I so desperately want this to work out. I don't want to be wrong about who I believe you can be. Or if you are one of those beautiful people that see the best in folks, you see who they can become, or you see those glimmers, those silver linings, and you're like, I know this is in you. I may be looking at the ugliest part of you, but I'm thinking beyond that, and I know you're going to show up for me if I just hang in there. But when that epiphany comes and the reality hits that the grass isn't greener, that this is all that there is to this individual, there is an opportunity to grieve the loss of what you thought that relationship could be. And when we skip that step of grieving, of recognizing the loss, and we jump right into either moving on or finding somebody new or just replacing that person, or we emotionally isolate, what we're really doing is just dragging the additional dead weight of that relationship or that experience into our next thing. And the more we skip the process of grieving, the more we skip the process of grieving recovery, the more weight we add on to ourselves. And it slows us down as we go into the next relationship. It slows us down as we walk into the next opportunity. It slows us down as we start to connect with people that could be great friends. But in this teaching, I am committed to teaching you how to thrive through this. This has been the first teaching in the 10-minute series that I'm doing around grief recovery. And I called it Thriving Through This. Go back and watch yesterday's as I start to lay the foundation, and feel free to go back and watch this one as we start to think about the loss of trust and grieving these emotional wounds that we're often taught to overlook. Thank you for hanging out with me. I know this is like heavy content on a Friday, but I am your mindset coach, and I am dedicated to seeing you thrive in every aspect of your life, even the hard things. Have a wonderful Friday. I'll see you soon. Bye.